Howdy folks, BC here. You're watching Deucey Guns, and today we're going to talk about how cheaply you can get started with black powder revolvers. First of all, we have a new package. I got a new package from Cabela's because they're having a sale right now. This is the, as of taping right now, it's the last week of September 2016. And Cabela's is having a really good sale on many of their black powder revolvers. So, I got this in the mail recently, and I'm going to open it in front of you guys, and we're going to take a look and see what's inside. Even for a short barrel, it's still pretty hefty. It's got some gravity to it. The inside of the bag is all greasy, of course, because you don't want this thing to rust up while it's in transit. Okay, we have the tag, and all it has is just serial number on it. Oh, come on. There we go. Let's compare that with my 8-inch. This is a 1851 Colt versus the 1860 Colt. So octagonal barrel, and it's got a brass frame on it too, because I wanted to go super cheap with this. Cabela's right now has this along with the 8-inch barrel also option for $150. $150, not bad. And here's a close-up of the revolver, and we have, it's nicely blued. Everything seems to work. The trigger is actually, whoa, surprisingly light. The trigger is actually surprisingly light. Of course, all it is just releasing that hammer, so it should be light. It's not rotating anything. It's not doing anything but just letting go of the hammer. And the brass is nice and shiny. Of course, that will not last very long because the second I shoot it, it will start dulling up and tarnish up. And I will not be cleaning it. I will not be polishing it, just keeping it normally clean. Here's the loading lever there to force in the lead ball. Of course, that's the 1851 version. Of course, it's the sheriff's model as well, so you have the 5-inch barrel versus the 8-inch or 12-inch Buffalo. Of course, octagonal barrel because it is the 1851 model. The trigger and hammer look case hardened. Everything else, actually no, the loading lever there is also case hardened steel. Everything else is normal steel and blued. Let's take out that barrel wedge there, which is really tight. I try to take it out. Usually you can get it with your thumb. I cannot get that with my thumb, so I'm going to use the little nipple there on the end of the nipple wrench. That's where that just screws out there for the cleaning of the nipples. But you can also use that aluminum because it will not hurt the steel at all. And, if I can get that back in there, and you can use that to hammer out the wedge without any worry of causing anything. There we go. See, and that just rubs right off because that's just aluminum coming off. Barrel wedge comes out. Oh, usually it doesn't come out all the way. Come on, baby. Oh, that's on there. There we go. Again, this is brand new, so this thing has not been apart since the factory. And that barrel is really clean. Everything's really clean on it. You can see there is no debris inside. Sometimes there's some debris inside from the machining process, but in this case, nope. Nice and clean. I will run a bore brush through there just to make sure that there is no little filings in there I'm not seeing, and to get the oil out of it before I first fire. Go back to automatic focus. Take off the cylinder there. And again, very, very clean. Let's see if I can get a good shot of that. Nipples in the very end there. And I will clean those up too before I actually shoot this. And then we have the rest of the frame. Nice handle. It fits pretty well for the most part. There's a little high edges. You can kind of feel some of the high edges there of the wood coming up over the brass. So it's not exact perfect fit, but close enough. Close enough for especially a $150 revolver. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to put this sucker back together and we're going to go to the range. After cleaning, of course. Alrighty, that's pretty tight, but that will work. Put the barrel wedge back in there. Well, that sucker's tight. Okay. Now, I know you're not supposed to hammer these in because that just adds extra stress, but that paw's not actually getting over the lip right there, which I need that to do. So I'm going to hammer it just a little bit. If you have an issue with that, you can comment below. Not a big deal. There we go. Now it's perfect. Good deal. There we go. And a ball. Pack that in there good. Nice little ring. And you can see the balls there. There we go. You can see the balls there. Crisco, because we're going old school. And it's just delicious, really. Now, once you start capping, I'll use some of these CCI primers. Caps, whatever you want to call them. Once you start capping, range is hot now. You should never put your fingers or anything in front of the cylinder, because then you have a live round. All right, cap's going on. My hands are so slippery I can't hold on to it. The grip is actually, the handle is actually smaller than normal. Just can't get a good grip on it. Whew. Doesn't help my targets moving around in the wind. Oh, Jesus. Well, that was a successful little run there. There we go. Had a piece of a cap stuck in the mechanism. Oh, there we go. Check this out. Okay, here's one of the problems with black powder revolvers. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that here. That's a cap. That's a cap stuck up against a hammer. See right there. There we go. Well, we know she functions. Now I'm starting to lose my light and I got some other things to do. So, I think I'll call it a day on black powder. See you back in the bunker. Observations. Now, keep in mind, I only put 12 shots through this because I was losing the light. I had some other projects I had to get to at the range. So I only put 12 rounds through this sucker. And I had a few issues with it, not many. Number one was the first 6 shots. I did have some issues with some of the caps not firing the powder charge. That was mostly my fault because I failed to remember to clean out the inside of the nipples before I actually fired it. Normally you would take the end of your actual nipple wrench and there's a little wire there that screws out, and you would take that inside the actual nipple and just clean it out and make sure there's a free passage for the spark to shoot through. Now normally that's not an issue, but I was trying to use up some of my old CCI caps, and they are a little bit weaker than the Remington caps, it seems like, so they didn't have the oomph to really push through and ignite the charge anyway. Once I shot all 6 with the CCI caps and kind of cleaned it out and changed over to Remington, ran like a charm. Now the second issue I had with the Sheriff's Model Pietta is accuracy. Now some of this was my fault, some of it's the fact I'm just not used to the firearm, but these groups are not that good at 10 yards, even for black powder revolvers. And one of the issues I had was my greasy hands, of course, from loading, which is to be expected from black powder firearms, but along with that, the greasy hands plus the fact that the Sheriff's Model, the 1851 Sheriff's Model, has a smaller grip than what I'm used to. Because I'm used to the 8-inch 1860 and the 12-inch Buffalo. They have much larger grips than the actual Sheriff's Model 1851. As you can see right there, there's a close-up. You can see that the grip is actually quite a bit bigger on the 1860 versus 1851 Sheriff's Model. For really good accuracy, the best idea is to actually choke up your grip. Do a single-handed grip, choke up on the grip basically where your hand is almost underneath the hammer. And that will give you a pretty good hold on this, much better than two hands, because it's just not, there's not enough grip there for a good two-handed hold. It's just not there. And the third issue I had was the tiny, very, very short loading lever. Now, as you can see, just a comparison side by side, the loading lever on the Sheriff's model versus the loading lever on the 8-inch 1860 model. It's at least twice as long, giving you twice the leverage to really ram that ball into the cylinder. Now, if you got a tight cylinder or a slightly oversized ball, which they should be slightly oversized, this should not be easy to do, then you're going to have a time getting that sucker to actually seat in there. So if you're a first-time black powder revolver buyer and you really want something on the cheap, I would go with the brass frame 8-inch model of the 1851 Pietta. Now, what I'd really recommend is this baby right here, the 8-inch barrel 1860 model with the steel frame. You can use full power charges on this and not worry about the frame and get the very, very accurate and very long life revolver here. But if you're pinching pennies and you want to get that $150 special from Cabela's, get the 8-inch model Colt Pietta 1851 with the brass frame. That will get you out on the range shooting quicker and cheaper, and the 8-inch barrel will give you a little more gravity and a little bit bigger handle, and you'll just have a better time shooting all around. Now, this is just part one in a very long-term testing series that I'm going to do on this particular firearm itself. So I bought this at Cabela's for 150 bucks. It is the cheapest Pietta black powder revolver you can get. It's probably the cheapest black powder revolver you can get anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and test this out. I'm going to take it to its limits and beyond, and I'm going to bring you guys along, of course. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button at the end of this video. And of course, if you have any comments, questions, or show ideas, leave those in the comment box below the video. And as always, you guys have a great day. See ya.